Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Mr Streetz titled Rags to Riches. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves the track on the screen, the video, the official video. We are going to be listening through this track from start to finish. I'm going to hear what we think. Let's go. What do we have? What's the dealio, Mr Streetz?
Yeah.
We got a lot going on immediately with these different vocal chops on the side.
Never been one for no handout, stand out, spitting on snares on my own. Some of them ask why I don't take shortcuts, carve my way, I can never be cloned. I'm owning the mic, I'm honing my flows. I can make 10 tracks when I'm out in my zone. I'm the man cause I've shown that I'm cool with a tone. Knowing me to the mic's like a dog to the bone.
So let's break this down. All right, first of all, nice work on the video editing. I mean, genuinely, it's really cool. If I was more knowledgeable on sort of music videos and how they're made, I'd probably be reviewing that as well. But these boom, 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 they're really simple sort of bass motif there alongside the drums. The guy's flow is sick. It's easy to understand what's going on. Occasional overdubs in the back to reinforce or reiterate some words, put emphasis on them. Good start.
I'm the man, I know cause I run this, pump it, work to my tracks, I'm a boss. Circles tight and I keep it tight, so close to my friends like Joey and Ross. I'm cut from a cloth that the kings eat off, now I eat from the table, came from the trough. Can't say that I'm washed, got the dirtiest flows, and you know that you're wrong when I'm starting a mosh. I used to clothe myself with rags, silk, now that...
Sorry, like genuine shout out to the fact that we have a different chord progression, a different musical concept for this hook part. That's fantastic. I mean that genuinely. Often with a lot of like rap and hip hop I listen to nowadays and that I review, it's just one theme, one progression through the entirety of it. This makes me interested as a listener because it's like, oh, okay, where are we going to go next?
I'm rich. I used to know the times I'd swim, that I'd command the ship. Alone, I think when I was broke, I'm sure that winners win. It's true. And I know I'm a winner at heart. So I found the strength within.
So I know I'm a winner at heart, so I found the strength within. A nice little piano interlude there, a little bit of charm, a little bit of extra sort of brightness and positivity before we
From the rags to the riches, yeah. Bring me out of the trenches if you dare. Never gonna break me. Never. From the rags to the riches. From the rags to the riches, yeah. It's a struggle just to get me where I am. Never gonna break me.
Never gonna break me. So yeah, the song is effectively, I think, about someone who had their hopes high and they just kept that sort of like psychological fortification really strong there. Never giving up on their aspirations. We'll get more context as we go along, but yeah, really good shout out. It's not just that we have different chord progressions or bass lines or slightly different sort of rhythms or ways of phrasing stuff. The rhythms, to be fair, are relatively sort of consistent on like the tones might change, but the chord note groove is consistent. It's more just the different instruments we have within the mix. They just add a different sort of personality to each part, a different angle, and I appreciate that in this multifaceted story. Bit of extra dimensionality, you know?
Coming up, could have never had doubt. The purest gold what I sprayed from my mouth. Man went wild when I spat my bars with some so mad they were calling me out. Was loving the hate cause I knew I'd reached a level where I was attracting a crowd. Any publicity's good in my mind. Shouting at me is still shouting me out. Come on,
shouting at me is still shouting me out. Damn. Again, I like the way that the performance vocally is clear. You can hear every word. But also, the guy sounds like he's having a conversation with you, and that's really important.
Up, you know you lose if you think you're cold. Got news for you. Just put on a beat and I'll break that down with a kick so hard that I lose my shoes. Got 13 seconds to make a move. 8 bars down and I'm in my groove. Add that up and that's 21, but not second to no so solid crew. I used to clothe myself with rags, silk, now that I'm rich. I used to know the times I'd swim, that I'd command the ship. Alone, I think when I was broke, I'm sure that winners win. It's true. And I know I'm a winner.
And that's true. It's like the call and response between the backing vocals and this guy in the center of the field. It's really nice to listen to. It's not often that I find myself genuinely enjoying listening to tracks during these reviews, which sounds sad, but it's a little bit more than, hey, it's competent. The guy just seems like a professional.
So I found the strength within.
And these extra vocals and the clean vocals here are fantastic as well. Great texture change, style change. Keeps things fresh, you know?
But them rags took them riches. Woo-hoo, from the rags took the riches, yeah. Woo-hoo, it's a struggle just to get me where I am. Never gonna break me. Woo-hoo, but them rags took them riches.
It's taken hard work and perseverance. I've come miles from inches. That get up and go attitude will drive you. Got no time for whinges. It's now or never. Pushing myself to be better became more vicious. If it takes days, weeks, or years.
From the rags took them riches.
Damn, dude. Sensational. Sensational. Yeah, that end part got no time for whinges. He's just, you get the feeling this guy's just going to keep working at it until he gets to his goal. It is inspirational. And this is the conclusion of my review of a track named Rags to Riches from Mr. Streetz. What I think the track is about. I think the track is about someone talking about the way they came up from someone who started out with maybe not so much to someone who, you know, got to, who is or is working towards where they want to be. That's basically what this track is about. Fairly straightforward, easy to understand there. Nice development there, you know, like talking about like how like when he started spitting those bars of gold, etc. How like people like liked him or people like didn't like him, but he also appreciated that even the people that didn't like him, they still were helping him to get where he wanted to be. The guy's got a very kind of grounded way of approaching things, and I appreciate that. Storytelling is mature. We have a vocalist here who's clearly polished on the mic and comfortable with both himself, the persona that he wants to communicate. And I think it's an authentic and genuine performance there. You get someone like, it sounds like someone who cares about what they're all about. And I really appreciate and respect that as well. I think that, you know, with a story where like people are maybe going to listen to it and think, man, I want to get to that point too. You kind of need to sort of like find that midpoint between like, yeah, no, I am doing fine, but also you can do it too. And I think that the conversational tone that Mr. Streetz took throughout a lot of this was really effective. It kind of makes it feel like he was just trying to sort of like kind of reach out to you. That's great. That's the power of video as well. Like you've like prayed and like looked to you and stuff like that. That's the power of video. But the track by itself, I think, would work just as well without the video. But that's fine. The audiovisual experience is, you know, nothing wrong with that at all. You know, it could be great. I like the video. Just wish I knew more about video production so that I could review those too. The clean vocals as well. Like the flow is clean in like the verses and the bridges. I like the chest and head voice that the guy had. It's not fun to get a rapper that can come in that can also sing. And those vocal chops on the side as well, like the lady ones in the higher octave range, kind of filtered out and made the track sound a bit more round at that point, you know. The rags to riches part, it's a catchy hook line as well. It's memorable. And that kind of the bell tolling through the kind of heavy bells and like the kind of little bits of brass or something like that, or the strings down the low end as well with those kicks and other part in the drum kit. It's fantastic. It's good. There's a lot to appreciate here from the vocal perspective. But when you also couple it with the track, that there was so much in this for a 3-minute 14 track. We had obviously the verses and the bridges and like the interlude section and the hooks and all that kind of stuff. We had different, you know, for 3 minutes 14, that's in that sweet spot between 2 and 4 minutes. So we absolutely smashed that out of the park. You know, I think there's definitely no filler in here. We have a chance for a little sort of like extra outro kind of verse here. We kind of elaborated further, sum things up, and just kind of tried to like give the listener a last sort of reminder of what we're all about, which was effective. But, you know, like we had the bum, 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 and then, you know, that was like the verse, and then the hook motif there we built upon with like the other instruments, like again, the drums and all those other parts, but also like with the piano, the kind of honky tonkish kind of like ragtime piano, the ragtime aesthetic there, we're talking about the rags to riches kind of thing, was kind of fun. I liked how it kind of went up a little bit like kind of more playfully, you know, it was a little bit more kind of, it's like a break from the heaviness of the verse and the intensity of the hook parts. I like that we looked tonally at this, and we had some interesting sort of major and minor triads elaborated on by the pianist. And we went, yeah, no, we need to make sure there's something a little bit lighter so that there's not as much sort of energy the entire time there. Play with the listener's expectations, have a story that fluctuates. That's exactly what we had here, both from a vocal perspective, because again, you know, Mr. Streetz was a little bit more sort of like energetic, like carries, like, how do I say it, like just seems a little bit more sort of intense and heavy in those interlude parts or those bridge parts there. kind of correspond to the lightness of the piano bits. That was fantastic. I think that the struggle that the guy went through was emphasized well by the intensity of those low resonances on the string parts as well as the bells. It was almost like, it was kind of like a march forward, trudging on through the trenches, you know, like trying to keep moving forward and not giving up and continuing to try and sort of like, you know, gravitate towards that, you know, the part that you want to get to. I think that it to have had a really kind of happy, joyous, positive, kind of over the top, kind of like, it would have been too unrealistic. I think this was more of a grounded vocal performance and a grounded story, so it needed to have a grounded harmony and backing and motif there, and I think we nailed that, you know, like trials and tribulations. But yeah, there was a nice connection between the vocals, the story, and the musical backing there, and yeah, it was nice to have that synergy there. I think in regards to the production, recording, mixing, and mastering, that was solid. You know, the vocals sounded nice and clear. He did understand what was going on. The guy had clear diction as well, so that was cool. You know, the bass, the drum parts, and other elements there. The pianos as well, the way they were filtered was fantastic. Things were nice and wide in the stereo field there. The leveling was solid. You know, there weren't any weird resonant frequency in the frequency spectrum there. And the backing vocals as well, yet occasionally would go out onto the sides as well. There's exploration around left and right to the stereo field. I like that we varied the position of things to an extent where like it became sort of, oh, that's happening there, you know? It kind of fluctuated a little bit. It's just these little touches that can make a good experience go from good to great. That nuance there in the post-production is important. It gives a little bit more polish and a little bit more sort of sparkle, and makes it, yeah. It definitely seems like Mr. Streetz is getting close to their goal. I think that the music is a really great first impression. I think that it's nice and loud without pumping, so limiting compression was done really well. I mean, this is my review of Mr. Streetz Rags to Riches. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go check out the various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either hell more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.